Now that we have our texture maps complete, our diffuse, our specular, and our normal map, it's time to apply these to our model. Back in 3D Studio Max, we have our unwrapped, optimized game geometry. So I'm going to open the Slate Material Editor and add a new standard material. I'm going to select these body parts, set my preview type to realistic, and apply the material. Next, I'm going to want to adjust the lighting settings. So I'm going to turn it up, and then I'm going to sharpen it a bit to right about there. And now we can go ahead and add our texture maps. The first is our diffuse. I'm going to wire that to the diffuse channel. And there we go. Looks good. Next, our normal map. For this, I'm also going to have to add a normal bump to help the basic shader translate the normal map data. So you can grab one here, throw it in, and I'm going to wire my texture map to the normal bump. And in the basic material parameters, I'm going to turn the bump setting up to 100. This will give us a fairly accurate representation of how normal maps are represented in the game engine. Lastly, I'm going to add our specular map. And this I'm going to pipe into our specular levels and our glossiness channel. Again, this will give us a fairly accurate representation of how this material is going to hold up with the scene lighting found in the hero engine. Next, I'm going to grab the arm and legs and mirror copy them to get a complete body set. Then I'm going to go about posing this in preparation for a render. Like 3/4, that's looking pretty good. Next, I'm going to adjust the lighting. And change to scene lights. Okay. Now we're really using the lights in our scene. As I move them around, we can see it change dynamically on the model. Looks good. Next, I'm going to change the color of our fill light. It's currently set to this earthy tone, but I want something hotter for this particular render, so I'm going to crank it up to red, and then I'm going to position it a bit so that it gives us the look we want for our render. It should be very subtle. And now I'm going to adjust our rim light. This is a nice dark blue. Should only be seeing this on the back outer edges opposite the fill light. And that's looking pretty good. Okay, next I'm going to unhide the helmet. Let's get that out here. Okay. And what I'm going to do next is copy this body several times. I'm also going to copy the material several times. And for each body copy and material copy, I'm going to change the diffuse map to the various color variations I've created. I'm going to position it, grab a screenshot, going to crop this, save it, post it to my server, and send a link over to my employers for approval. And I have to say, out of all the color variations, the one that stands out the most to me is this black one. That's looking pretty cool. In the end, I'm only going to be exporting the white one. In the Repopulation, the users define the colors based on color pickers in the character customization panel, and we do that through this white material. That's looking good. Basically, we're done with our render. So now I'm going to grab my clones and delete them. And I'm just going to reposition the scene for the next time. And with this initial testing complete, the takeaway points are that everything seems to be going well. I really like what Substance Designer 4.4 has brought to the table as far as adding depth to our diffuse and our specular channels. But I've also learned that I'm really not happy with my undersuit solution, so I'm going to go all the way back to the ZBrush level and rework that and see if I can't get some results that better fit this model.